Oh, you've decided to go into web design and you've chosen Divi as your page builder. Well, that is fantastic. But there's a few things that you need to know before you get started. For example, let's say you want to go in and adjust your text sizes and so on. You would probably come in here and say, okay, you know what? Let me go into my text here. And you come over here to the design tab. You'd go into the text and then you say, okay, this is 14 pixels. Well, I want my text to be what? 16 pixels? Okay, or maybe you want it to be 18. So at this point, it's just guesswork. You don't really know what you're doing. And then you say, but Mac, I saw an update where Divi released a new feature which has variables. Why can't we use variables? Or you can say, okay, why can't we use clamp? Why are we using pixels? And you're absolutely right. So you would come over here to this clamp calculator, and then you'd go in, you put your sizes, your font size here for the minimum width is 16 pixels, maximum width is 18 pixels. You'd come over here to all your clamp, and then you copy the clamp value here. And why are we using clamp? Because of course it makes your font responsive. All right, so back over here now, you'd go in and add your size like that. Boom. Okay, fantastic. So now we have our clamp value in there and it's all good. And then you're thinking, okay, so what about the headings? So now you have to go into heading 1. So we come over here, you go into heading text, and then you start saying, okay, heading 1. You'd come over here and let's take a look at our clamp here. So heading 1 is probably going to be number 4. Okay, so you'd come over here, you go to 4, you copy it like that. You come back and you paste your size here on heading 4. Okay, I mean on heading 1, sorry. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, well, we are going somewhere, but guess what? You can't be doing this every single time you want to add something, because there's going to be a situation where you're going to add, let's say, a text module like that. And then again, you want to go in and adjust the size of this text. And then you have to go through the whole process of coming in here. You go into your text and then you want to go in and add your sizes using the clamp value. Well, that doesn't work. Okay, that's gonna waste so much time. It's unbelievable. So, and then you say, okay, variables. Why can't we add variables? And yes, you can. Okay, so we come over here to your variables, and then you go into your, I mean, there's so many things you can add here in your variables. You have all your fonts, you have your colors, you have all your text, and so on. So you can add your strings, and then here is where you can add your text. So let's say this is, say, H1. You go in and add your value, and then you save it as a variable. Okay? And then you go in, add another one until you have them all set. But here's the thing. If we now go in here, that means every time you want to set your text to H1, you have to go into the text module. And let's say this is set to H1. In fact, you know what? Let's make this realistic. Okay, because H1 is not that long anyway. So let's say this is set to H1 over here like that. Okay, so you have to now come over here and then you go to your size. Where's your heading? Okay, you want to scroll down, heading text, and we are on heading 1. So making sure H1. I mean, do you see how much I'm scrolling, and I'm really looking close to finding where I need to add all my values. Right? It wastes a lot of time. But anyway, so you would go in, where's our size? Here's our size, and here's our variables there. And oops. Okay, did I save? Okay, let's try and publish this. So you'd come back over here, the size, you go to your variables. Oh, there we go. So now we have our variables. Now I have to look for the size. Where is the size? I can't find it. Did I name it? Yeah, I named it H1. Okay, so now I have to refresh this one more time. And in fact, you know what? Let me check if it's, but do you see what I have to go through? Now, let me show you how easy it is using the SiteKrafter framework. So same thing, we have a bunch of text similar to what we have here, okay? So all you need to do is to click on it. You come over here on advanced, CSS ID and classes, and all you need to do is to enter SK. That's it. All your sizes are now responsive, and this is now, it needs to be set once, and that's it. That's it. So now, as you're designing your website, you're probably thinking, well, but Mac, if I add another paragraph text, what happens? Do I need to add the size as well? Okay, so we're going to do this one more time. We're going to add our text paragraph. And sure enough, it's not the right size, right? So what do we need to do now? Okay, it's simple. You click over here, right, on my main one. Now, because everything is all set for us in the framework, all you need to do is to create a preset. So you come over here, new preset from current styles, and then let's just call this main text, like that, and assign it as a default. And boom, just like that, we're good. Do you see that paragraph update? So at any point now, if I need to go in and add a heading 1 or a heading 2, you can just go in here, change the text, set it to H1, like that, and it takes its size. So you're probably thinking, well, but Mac, is this responsive? Absolutely. Let me show you. I'm going to save this, and then we're going to do a quick preview over here. And now we're going to test and see if this is responsive. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to make the screen smaller. Now watch the headings. You see that it's shrinking? Especially the one which says your content goes here. Do you see how it's getting smaller and smaller? Okay, this is fluid responsive text. So at some point, while you're designing, you're going to get to a stage where you perhaps maybe you want to add your custom headings, okay? Custom heading sizes, because H1 cannot be your actual heading or the size that you're going to use every single time. So what do you do in that case? Well, let's get rid of this one here. So let's say we add another row, and let's add a bit of text in here, like that. And we are going to get rid of all of this. So now let's say you want to make a custom heading, right? Let's drag this to the top. Okay, this is your custom heading. All you need to do, making sure that this is selected, you'd come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes. Now you just type in heading large. Do you see how easy that is? If you want it bigger, you can just say XL. Now it's extra large. Okay, now maybe you want it 2 times, okay? Look at that. Now it's so massive, okay? We can even go 3XL, right? Now, this saves you so much time, because if you were doing this manually, you would need to come over here to this calculator and then try and work out, okay, I want my font size on the maximum to be, let's say, 48 pixels. Okay, so is this the size? Okay, so maybe, okay, you see now I think we have an, do we have an error? Okay, no. So you'd come over here and say, okay, maybe it's this one. You start copying it. So, okay, the framework just takes away the guesswork. You don't need to guess. You don't need to spend so much time thinking, what size is this? What size is that? Everything is here for you. So all your heading sizes. And by the way, this heading size is also fluid and responsive. So it gets smaller with the screen size automatically. So let me just refresh this so you can see. Okay, so there we go. We have our massive font here. Look at the size. Can you see it's getting smaller? It's getting smaller. You see that? You see that? You see that? Isn't that cool? And this is just done automatically. It's set once and you're good to go. Okay, now there's another area in design which is not really looked at seriously, and this is spacing. Now, spacing is so important in design that if you get it wrong, this is how you get your website to look very amateurish. Okay, so let's go in and let me show you. So with this heading here, let's just make it a bit smaller. We're gonna come over here. Let's go XL, okay? I'm cool with that. We'll delete that. So let's say we're gonna start adding a bunch of text in here, like that. So here's a bunch of texts. We're going to center it, and let's center this as well. Let's do that as well. Okay, so we have these 3 bunches of text. So the question is, how do we space this? Now, if you're a beginner, what you're going to do straight away is to come over here, click in here, you go to design, and then you want to go to spacing, and then you're going to say margin top. Maybe you're going to go with 4 rem. Okay, so that's your margin top. This one here, maybe you're going to say, you know what? Just by looking at it, perhaps we're going to add, let's say, 5 rem. Okay, so you're guessing at this point. You're just guessing. You're not even sure why you're entering the sizes that you're entering. Now, did you know that there's actually a spacing scale that makes your website look aesthetically pleasing? So this again is built in SiteKrafter Pro. This is a framework that has pretty much everything you need when it comes to designing your website. So I'm just going to get rid of all this and I'm going to show you how the spacing scale works. All right, so over here, we can come to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and we are going to say, okay, let's keep the ASK right there. We're going to say MT for margin top, and we're going to say, okay, are these two things related? The text and the paragraph. So we're going to say, okay, maybe it's related. So we're going to say S, okay? Oops, dash S, okay? Did you notice that little move? Okay, that means that that spacing is the right size for items that are related to each other. Okay, so let's say this paragraph here is not related to the paragraph above. Okay, what do we do then? Okay, so with this selected, we're going to come over here and then we're going to go to CSS ID and classes. And again, we're going to say SK, right? Because we want to maintain our text fluidity here. Now we are going to say empty for margin top dash. So this time I'm going to go with large. Okay, so do you see now that the spacing that we have here and the spacing that we have here is different? Okay, and maybe we want to add a button. So we're going to go in, add our button here. So first of all, let's center our button by coming over here. Okay, again, we're going to say, okay, is this text here related to this item? If it's yes, then you're going to come over here, CSS ID and classes, and then we're going to say empty for margin top dash small. Okay, so do you see now? These two items here are related and the items on the bottom here are related. And this is how you distinguish items on your page. So let's say you want to create a notice on your website, right? I know sometimes it can be very, very difficult to go in. You go in and then you want to go into design and then you want to go into spacing. You want to add your padding. Now you're guessing again. You're saying 2 rem, okay, for the side, and then you're going for the bottom, the left and the right and so on. And then you're going to choose a background color. You know what? You don't need to do all of that. Check this out. All you need to do is to select it. You come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and then all you need to do is to say notice. Do you see that? The notice has just been created just like that. Just like that. Now you can add whatever text you want to add in here, you know, as much text as you want. It doesn't really matter. Now, if you want to center it, you can just come over here to design and sizing and then center it. Okay, now you can just drag and drop it wherever you want. So this becomes now a notice. So here you're saying, oh, but you know what? These two things are not related. What am I going to do? Well, come over here, advanced, and then you want to add empty, margin top, and then this time we're going to go large. Okay, we can even go extra large if you want. There you go. So that's our notice right there. I mean, do you see how easy that is? So just by doing this, we are now shaping our main hero area. Now, the final thing we can add to this is perhaps maybe even an image. So let's go ahead and add an image like that. So let's select our image module here. And when we click in here like that, we can now select our images. So let's say this is the image I'm going to use. And now I'm going to say upload. Okay, so now we have our image. Again, if you're a beginner or you don't have this framework, what you're probably going to do is say, oh, you know what? I want to add some rounded corners. Okay, so again, you're going to do it manually. This is called inline editing. You're going to come over here to design, and then you go to border, and then you start saying, okay, is it going to be 2 pixels? Is it going to be 6? Okay, now you're guessing, you know, right? 2 pixels, is it 4? Is it 8? You know, which one is better? Okay, so we don't even need to do that, okay? What we need to do is to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and then you say IMG, okay? RAD for radius, and then this is where we can go small. You see how the size is like, you know, perfect? We can go medium, we can go large, we can go extra large. I know it's very subtle, but everything is properly calculated. So this layout right here, it may seem like, oh, it's so basic, but it has all the ingredients that are needed by any UI designer, especially if you're using Divi, because in Divi, there's no way to automate this whole process. It's going to be very, very difficult. So now let's do something different. Color. We all know color is very, very important in design. So if you want to start applying color to this, what you need to do is to come over here, go to your background. And again, you're going to start choosing your colors here from the color picker. You're going to go into your global colors, blah, 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 and all that. But do we really need to do that? Well, absolutely not. Now, let me show you how color works in this environment. It is really, really awesome. So we'd come over here, go to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and then our colors here, we have three main colors. We have our primary color, background color, neutral colors, and our accent colors. Right, so if you wanted to add, let's say, a background color, you go BG for background. Now you're deciding whether it's going to be a primary color, it's going to be an accent color, or it's going to be a grayscale. So if it's going to be gray, you say gray, okay? Now, here's where the fun starts. If you go gray 100, okay, that's the lightest version of gray. Look at that. And I'm not going into the color picker, choosing the colors in the color picker. No, this is all in our framework. Okay, it's now, do you see how you're going to be designing your website super fast, right? If you want to go a bit darker, you go 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 900 is the highest, right? And I mean, this is so easy. So you are never going to mess up all your colors because everything is all set for you. Now let's say this is going to be our primary color, okay? Now this is the darkest of our primary colors. Now when it comes to primary colors, 500 is going to be your actual color, okay? So when you're BG primary 500, that's your actual color, okay? When you go above 500, it's going to be darker. When you go below 500, it's going to be lighter. So again, we can go 600. We can go 700, 800, 900. Now you can set your footers with your darkest color of your primary color. I mean, isn't that cool? Now, if you want to go light, we go 100. And now we have a very light version of our primary color. Now, the combinations of these colors are totally endless. It is just amazing. Okay, let me show you how else we can, use these colors in context, because I guess perhaps it's very important to see that way. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go into, let's create a new row. Okay, single column. Right. So in this single column, what we're going to do is we're going to add a blurb like that. Okay. So we're going to do a bit of customizations here. Remember, our text here needs to be fluid, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and then we're going to set this to SK. Now it is fluid and responsive. Okay, so for our image, I'm going to click here, go to my content, and then we're going to go to image and icon. So for this, I'm going to add an image, okay, just to make this, a bit exciting. So the image I'm going to choose is, let's go with this one here. Okay, so now we are in the design process, right? So with this selected, I'm going to show you quickly now how fun it is to now start using all our shortcuts that we have in the framework. So with this selected, I'm going to come over here to advanced, and then I'm going to say PAD for padding -L for large. Okay, now I know you haven't seen the padding anywhere right now. Now I'm going to say BG, right, for our background, -primary for our primary color. And this time we're going to go with 200. Okay, now do you see that color that has just been added? Pretty cool. So now that we have this, we are now going to duplicate this a few times. Okay, I've just done it twice. So you're probably thinking, well, why not just go in here and then add your columns, blah, blah, blah. No, SiteKrafter has grid built in. Now let me show you how it works. So for this example, I'm going to go in here in my row settings, and then I'm going to come over here to column. Okay. So in this column now, we're going to go to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and then we're going to say grid, right? So now that row is now a grid. Okay. So we now can say grid auto. Now this is the easiest one to use. Okay, grid auto is fantastic. It's very, very easy to use. Now you can see everything now has gone in. It's automatic, no issues. If I want to add another one, I can just duplicate this, and look at this. It's now been added to the bottom, and I can continue adding this. I mean, this will just save me a lot of time. The spacing in here is perfect. You don't need to worry about anything. And if you want to get rid of something, it doesn't mess up the grid. Okay. Even here, if I want to go like this, boom. Okay. Now we have two of the same items. Isn't that amazing? So what I want you to demonstrate here is the color. Okay. The color. So this one here was 200, right? If you recall, if we come over here, we go to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and this was BG primary 200. So I'm going to copy that, and then we're going to come back over here. So this time we're going to make this one here maybe 400. Okay. How about that? Right? Or maybe even 300 if you want. Right? And then this one here is going to be 400. So we're going to come in here, and we can set this to 400. Now, do you see that the colors here are just smooth, right? There's no guesswork. We don't need to worry about, okay, what color am I going to use? What shade am I going to? Everything is just there for you, okay? So now that we have this, right? If you want, perhaps you don't want the titles, we can just go in here into our blurb, get rid of the title like that. And all we have now is the text. So let's just end on the word settings. Settings, just so that we have, like equal heights. Okay. There we go. Okay. So again, I'm going to come in here, get rid of the titles, just to keep everything very simple. Okay. So now that we have this, you're probably thinking, well, but we need our rounded corners. Right? It's simple. You select it, you come over here, and then you go into your radius, RAD. And for radius, we're going to go small. Okay? Or medium. Like that. So now what we can do is you can if you right click and add all our settings, it's going to reset the colors. So I'm just going to go in and do it manually. Okay. So we're going to go radius, RAD, and did you go medium? Yes, medium. Okay. And then finally this one here, advanced. Now, do you see how easy and how fast I'm doing this? Right. So let's say you decide, you know what, maybe this section here needs to be really dark. Okay. So we're going to come over here. We're going to go to advanced. So this time we're going to change primary 100. Let's go to gray. Okay. Because that's where we get our grayscale. This is our neutral. So we're going to say gray 900 or maybe even 800. Okay, look at that. So now we have gray 800. Look at my colors here. They really stand out and everything looks cool. But we have a problem. We have our text here. What are you going to do with our text? Well, there's also a way to choose our colors using SiteKrafter. Now, let me show you. I'm going to select this. We're going to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes. So we're going to say text, and we're going to go primary. And let's go with 100. You see that? Super simple. We're going to come over here. Same thing. We're going to click on advanced, CSS ID and classes. And then we're going to say text dash primary. Okay. 100. So now our design is starting to take shape. You see that? Isn't that cool? Now, you're probably thinking, well, here, this is a notice. Why can't that be a warning? Okay, we're going to come over here to CSS ID and classes, and then we're going to say dash warning. How cool is that? Right? Maybe it's a success message. We're going to go in and say success. How cool is that? Now it's got success. Maybe it's error. You want to show an error? There we go. Now compare this to going in inline editing, customizing each and every item in this manner. It's going to be almost impossible. Okay, it's going to save you, it's going to cost you so much time. It's unbelievable. Now with this, there's a lot that we can do. I mean, if I select this, I can even go and say, okay, hover, HOVER dash scale. And by the way, the hover scale can be used anywhere. Okay, I'm going to copy this and I'll show you that it can be used literally anywhere. I'm going to save this. Okay, and then we're going to do a quick preview. There we go. So now with our preview, you see that hover? You see that? I can add my hover on anything and it will scale. Now there's also other versions of this hover that I can add onto each and every item. So I can go, instead of saying hover, I'm going to say glow. Save that. And then refresh. So when I do that, do you see that little glow? The glow picks up our primary color. Okay, so that's how it works. I mean, isn't that cool? So this way of designing websites is going to save you so much time, and your colors, your layouts, your fonts, everything is going to be very, very consistent. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say we're a design agency. You want to give this design to someone else to go in and fix. You will take so much time to go in and find each and every place where a change was made. That's how difficult it is. You would need to literally go in and try and find out, okay, where were the changes made? You're going to start looking for all those places, and then you're going to do what's it called? There's a feature here where you're going to do extend attributes. Okay, oh, we want to change this color here and then extend it so every font here becomes. You don't even need to do that. All this is taken care of in one file. Now I have a course. Okay, in fact, let me show you where the course is. So we're going to head over here to Divi University. And by the way, if you're not a member of Divi University, it's absolutely free. Go ahead and join. You know, it's absolutely free to join. Okay, so if you come over here to courses, this is SiteKrafter Pro. This is the course. I mean, again, it's absolutely free. Okay, at the moment, I am adding all the courses onto this. Okay, so we're going to come over here. You can see you have module 1, you have module 2, you know, I mean, how to use this whole system. Everything is there, right? All these are lessons and courses because, of course, a framework can be very, very powerful. And all you need to do with this framework is for you to just memorize, okay, empty means margin top. Okay, notice is for showing this notice, and error is, you get what I'm saying, right? So this way of designing websites is fantastic. I mean, it's going to save you time. You're going to have consistency. There's no more guesswork, especially if you're new to web design. No more guessing. Everything is just there. You go in and all you need to do, like I said, is to memorize all your classes. So you're probably thinking, well, how much is it to get this framework, this Divi 5 framework? Well, right now, as we speak, if you head over to SiteKrafter.com, I have an offer. And by the way, the offer is ending. It's got 22 hours now. This has been on lifetime for a very, very long time. Okay. Since I produced this framework, this has been on lifetime for a very, very long time. But of course, this has to come to an end, and today is the final offer. So 40% off will give you access to the SiteKrafter community. This is the community for anyone who's designing websites using this framework. You're going to get, child themes. You're going to get unlimited updates. You're going to get unlimited templates. We're going to be created, support, and of course the course, I mentioned it. And we're also going to be having masterclasses. So only for 167 unlimited websites. So if you're a design agency or you want to go into designing websites as an agency, this is the way. This is going to make it so easy for you to even train your team to use this framework. And whatever website you're going to be customizing, you are going to be going back to the same standard of how you're designing your websites. But before I go, I want to remind you that we're still in alpha, and Divi 5 is also still in alpha. So although it's working perfectly here, sometimes things may break. I'm constantly updating it and making it really, really awesome. Now, this is the future of designing websites with Divi. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Go ahead, check it out. Go to SiteKrafter.com. In fact, I'll leave the link in the video description below. Check it out and go ahead and make use of this lifetime deal, because this is going to go away in 22 hours. All right, see you soon.